Hello guys, the first thing you're going to need is some sort of flat, smooth surface. I'm going to use the back of a cutting mat, and then you're going to need to take any clay that you have. I'm just using some simple water-based clay. Once you have your clay, you just need to take it and roll it out to about 1/4 of an inch thick, like this right here. Now go in with any sort of toothpick or knife or cookie cutter if you have it, and we're going to draw the shape that we want our skin to be. I'm going to make mine into the shape of a heart because I don't know, why not? Hearts are cool. So you don't have to worry about cutting completely through it. Just right now you just want to draw the shape of it. Then once you have drawn your shape, you're just going to take a thicker knife and you're going to dig deep into the clay and cut through the entire piece like this. If you do have a cookie cutter that is the shape that you want, it is much easier to use that because you can just simply push it down and there you go. So like I said, just make sure you cut completely through it because it'll make it much easier to remove it. Then, if your surface is not very sticky, you can just sort of put the edge of your knife under the clay and slowly start to pull it up. And then just kind of grab it and pull and just pull it until the entire shape comes out. And you're left with this nice heart-shaped or whatever shaped hole in your clay. If you have some clay left in the bottom, you can just go in with any sort of damp cloth or even just your fingers and just try and wipe it out so that your skin that you make will be much nicer and not dirty when you remove it. Now that we have our little mold, we are going to pour gelatin into it to simulate skin. There's a tutorial on how to make the gelatin in my how to make a fake tongue video, which is linked right here. Once you have made your gelatin and it is nice and extremely hot, you're just going to pour it into your little shape hole, whatever shape you hot made. You just want to make sure it gets into all the little nooks and all the little crannies. If it has trouble getting into the little spots, you can just take whatever little tools you have and push it right on in there. Now we just have to wait for the gelatin to cool. If you live in a humid place like I do, it's probably going to take forever. If you want, when it's in that in-between sticky, gooey state, you can poke and pull at it. Since this is going to be the back of the skin, just make it look like it's been cut at and whatnot. If you're super impatient, you can always put it in the refrigerator or the freezer or whatever cold places you have, and that'll make it cool off much faster. And once it is completely cool and it's ready to remove, just slowly start to pull at the edges. If that doesn't work, you can just take the clay and pull the clay off. Of course, this means you'll only get to make one of these shapes, but just pull the clay off and just pull and pull and pull, and then you should be left with your heart sitting there on the mat. Once you have gently pulled all the clay off from around your fake skin, you should be left with it sitting there on the mat all by itself. And now it's time to carefully pull it off. It's probably going to stick to it. Just grab one end and just gently pull, being very careful not to rip it as you do. And now you have your little fake chunk of skin right there. Now it is time to paint it. You can use any sort of paint you have, regular acrylic paints, alcohol activated paints. I'm going to be using watercolor paints just because I don't need it to last very long. This is just for this tutorial. You're just going to want to take any sort of light red you have and just dab that all around the edges. Try and keep it nice and translucent. Kind of dab it other places. Obviously it's going to be much more irritated on the edges where you've cut it off from. And then you can just add a little bit in the middle too. Just give it all skin has a little bit of redness to it. Then you're going to flip it over to the black, and we're going to use a very dark red, almost kind of purpley, and give the entire back a nice good coat of that. And once you have done that, we're going to go in with some black and just sort of add that to a few places as well, just to break it up so it's not a flat red back. Yeah, and make sure you get all the edges too, because obviously they're going to have color as well. And then we're going to take some fake blood and we're going to cover the entire thing with it. You just cut that off someone's skin. It's going to be nice and bloody and delicious. Now just flip it back over to the front and flop it over, and we're going to add some blood to the front as well. Just take a little bit of blood and we're going to start dabbing it around all the edges. You don't want to do too much. Don't need to cover it. Just right there around the edges. And once you've finished, you're done. And now you have a fake piece of skin. If you made a heart like me, you now have a perfect Valentine or everyday gift for your boo. Or you could cut it off of someone. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and comment and subscribe and share with everybody. And make sure you come back next Thursday where I will show you how I made these delicious looking fake intestines. Okie dokie guys, I'll see you later. Mwah.